At any given point in time or point on the compass, you'll find the world's greatest cruise liners on their way or docked at an exotic seaport. Here in Hong Kong, we find none other than the Queen Elizabeth, and I've been given an Access All Area pass to check out her latest makeover. Apparently, it's fit for a queen.
We are lucky to have this amazing legacy and heritage to draw from. It's such a huge responsibility to be the custodian of the legacy. So when we do big projects like this, it's just fantastic to see that all come to life.
Now, I am fascinated to work out when a ship is travelling around the world and your design team is based in London, how does all that work?
I mean, this is one of the fabulous things. The refit this time was done in Singapore. We have this amazing team of people, including the crew of the ship. We really do kind of take the ship apart and put it all back together again.
And how long did it take?
Yeah, it takes 14 days. So.
No way.
Yeah.
14 days, you did the whole makeover.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep that in mind when you're having a look at some of the massive transformations happening here.
So here we are, Pete, in the garden lounge. We're kind of in the middle of the ship. This space is really a great space for relaxing, but it's really dominated by this fabulous artwork by an artist called Mr. Brainwash.
So this is like an old English glass house, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got that real conservatory orangery feel. And then the punk is kind of a bit surprising, right?
It is.
Yeah. So getting around the ship is really important, helping people to kind of navigate their way around. And believe it or not, we use carpets to help people navigate.
Right.
So this fabulous Art Deco carpet, they're different colours for different parts of the ship. And so then guests can see at a glance kind of where they are around the ship, and it helps them to navigate,
Making over a significant piece of naval architecture requires that balance between engineering and design. In terms of the internal fit out though, that responsibility was left to SMC in London.
Liz, what is your process? I'm keen to know. Does it start here in the London studios?
It does start here when we get the brief from the client, and then we like to get on board. We like to do a walkthrough of the whole vessel.
That's what this is here a few years ago,
Absolutely. This is some footage that we took when we were on board. But as we walk through, a lot of the furniture was very similar. So we were thinking about maybe making the seating a little bit more eclectic, but with Cunard likes to constantly be enhancing its brand, but it's still always looking backwards, always looking to its heritage, which is very, very important.
What was your big idea? Did you have a main concept?
Okay, so when Cunard approached us, it was just as Queen Anne was being launched, their brand new ship. And we'd read an article that there was to be a new captain, but it was to be the first female captain that Cunard had had in its fleet. And she was to wear a uniform designed by the first female master tailor in Savile Row. And we were like, why don't we do a celebration of the female within the heritage of Cunard?
I mean, ships are she's.
Absolutely. All vessels, all ships are she's. Sailors for centuries have always referred to them as she because they have a protective role, they felt secure in them and safe. So they're always a figurehead, graceful, elegant, very feminine.
Georgia, Sue, let's drill down on the garden lounge. And I read somewhere that Kew Gardens was an inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. Kew Gardens was hugely inspirational to us with this space, especially with its importance to the history of British botany and their use of key pioneering female botanists.
So we picked up on using the well-known British company Morgan Furniture and gone for a mid-century sturdy frame that was finished in a lovely black. And then also they look really punchy against the beautiful illustrations on the fabrics. The style of the illustration was really key as well because it very much evokes the feeling of travel in that bygone era.
I can see you two lay awake thinking about this. Do you think the guests appreciate this attention to detail?
I'm not sure that they pick up on the nuance of the detail, but I definitely think they appreciate the overall vibe of the space.
It's definitely that attention to detail that helps the space to feel harmonious and really helps a guest to feel comfortable within it, definitely.
Okay, Pete, I'm going to show you one of my favourite spots. Welcome to the Golden Lion pub.
Katie's from the north in Newcastle. What makes this an old English pub in your eyes?
So I think the decor, right, is very traditional. So we've got lovely leather, deep upholstered seating, dark wood furniture. It feels really cosy. It's great on a sea day to sit and watch the world go by, but then on an evening it really comes to life. So we'll have a live band, kind of like a traditional pub band.
Yeah.
Darts, pub quiz. So it feels really an authentic space. Welcome to the Royal Court Theatre.
Wow, this is an impressive space.
What we're really trying to do with this space is really recreate the kind of experience that you're going to get on Broadway or the West End in London.
This is like royal boxes at sea.
Yes. Having a theatre of such quality means we can get really great talent
I bet.
on board to perform. So for example, when we do our Miami sailings, when we operate the Caribbean, we're going to have a Broadway star on each of our voyages.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this theatre runs over 3 decks and can seat up to 800 people.
Yeah, it means we can kind of have half of the ship in the theatre. We generally run 2 performances every day, which means everyone on the ship gets to experience it. Okay, so Pete, I really want to show you this space. It is called the Commodore Club, a very famous place on any Cunard ship, but on Queen Elizabeth, very special.
Now that is pretty special, right?
Yeah.
This is now the mouth of Hong Kong Harbour.
Absolutely, and what a great view, right? So I think, if we were leaving port, going into port, it's really the best place to be, to sit, just to look at the fantastic views.
Oh, this is high tea on the Queen Elizabeth.
Here we are, fantastic. So this space, Pete, is reserved for our grills guests. It's a private space where you can take afternoon tea and you can have a cocktail before dinner, and we've got a concierge here as well to help our grills guests to make the most of their time on board so they can book experiences.
From a design perspective, everywhere you go on the ship, whatever level you're on, you get a different sort of experience. And here it's almost like being inside a little jewel box.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
it's meant to
beautiful,
feel
opulence.
really intimate and opulent as well. So I think we've really achieved that with this space.
Tell me about getting that balance right between legacy, honouring Queen Elizabeth and the history of this ship, but also turning it into a modern cruise liner.
The amazing thing about having been in business for 185 years is that we are constantly evolving. People talk about how we're modernising, for example. We're constantly modernising. We're modernising for 185 years. This is what we do. If you want to use the word modernise, but it's really just how we do business.
With respect to the past.
Absolutely, yeah.